I'm Barbara Johnson, and I'd like to introduce a project that was a result of a multicultural education course taken through Ball State University that included a study abroad component in Russia in June of 2016. This project looks at comparative international developmental mathematics education research through a framework of world systems analysis. While we were in Russia, we were able to see a lot of the history of Russia. For example, this St. Sophia Church in Novgorod is the oldest church in Russia. We're able to see a lot of pain in Russia. For example, this graveyard is from a battlefield in which 300,000 soldiers died during World War II. And we were able to see a lot of beauty in Russia. Lake Ilmen is a large lake near Novgorod, and it and many other places in Russia are very beautiful. Because we were in an education class and we were looking specifically at inclusion of children with disabilities in education, we tended to look at what we saw through the lens of education. And in a Moscow shopping mall, we saw a display that was intended to encourage children with disabilities through a display of photographs taken of famous Russian athletes along with children with Down syndrome. The focus of my research is developmental mathematics. And while I was in Russia, I was able to talk with a professor of mathematics at Novgorod State University, which is a university with which Ball State University partnered for this study abroad program. During that discussion and during visits to schools and even other places that we saw through which I was looking at it, through which I looked with an education lens, I became very interested in international education research. I found myself comparing, interpreting, trying to draw some conclusions, and I found that that is exactly what comparative education does, with education that appears in two or more regions or countries. So this research project looks at comparative and international developmental mathematics education research. It looks at it through a framework of world systems analysis, which instead of simply comparing two countries or two regions, compares in this case, compare education in the context of a world system. I invite you to look at that project, which is also present on this website.